Greetings and welcome to the Dream Syndicate. Today we're making fabric art doll hair, so let's get crafting. If you're going to imagine St. George, what hair color do you think of? I decided to go with a blonde color myself. Here I'm just cutting out a round-ish shape of fabric. And then I'll put down equal parts of 2-part resin epoxy and stir that up. Then we'll take our popsicle stick here and spread a thin layer across where you imagine the scalp of the character to be. Once we've mixed the epoxy, we have 5 minutes before it sets up. So it might be a good idea to play around with the fabric on the head before you even apply the epoxy. And then once the epoxy's been put on, around the 3 or 4 minute mark, that's when you actually put the fabric on and try to replicate that shape that you found that you liked already. When I'm shaping the character's hair, I just try to find folds that look good, and for a short hair character, you generally need 3 to 4 times more fabric than the surface area of the character's scalp. And then there's some spots that still didn't adhere well enough, so I'm going to take some Fabri-Tac and fix that up real quick. As I lightly sketch this next layer of fabric, let me give you some ideas of some of the best fabric to use for an art doll's hair. I usually keep a lookout for fabric that has a bit of a sheen or a shine to it. Something that's maybe a sateen or a silk blend, just something that when light hits it, it shines kind of like healthy hair might. I always keep an eye out for remnants of fabric because they're cheap, and I stock up on any natural hair color I can find. So if you can find it where it's $1.50 or $2 a yard, just pick it up and then you'll just have it for future projects. Now I'm just going to lay that piece of fabric I cut across the top and then sort of fold it back onto itself from the left and the right side and sort of pin elements into place as I get them looking a way that I like. Okay, great. Now we're starting to have pins sticking out everywhere, so this craft is properly weaponized. Now that our hair is more or less in place, we're going to start to sew together the upper and lower layers of hair, but also look for interesting folds that we can kind of put together that just feel like hair when you look at it. There's no real way of knowing how this should look until you see it and you just are happy with the result. Another way to think about art doll hair making is in drawing tutorials, you're taught to think of the hair as more of an abstract shape and not render each individual hair. So what we're doing here is looking for a natural, organic shape that looks like hair should be. Another thing that I do is when I thread my needle, I leave a little bit of extra thread on the end of it, and then when I go through and sew the end of a seam, I leave a little excess on the end and cut those a little uneven, and what they tend to look like is little flyaway hairs that might be there on a person. As good as I get making art dolls and sewing and miniature craft and things like that, I still feel like I'm going to always struggle with threading needles. Let me know in the comments below if you struggle with threading needles too. Sometimes it takes me 5-6 times to just thread a single stinking needle. If you want to join me in making the imaginary reality, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Okay, if I can manage to not stab myself, I'm going to run a seam down the center of the hairline where the hair parts here. As I've sort of hinted at before, there really isn't any right way to do this. I'm just looking for what looks good. There's really no rules, no set parameters. It's just I want something that looks sort of like hair and gets the idea across. So I don't think about every single stitch in depth. I just kind of see where it's going and make my decisions from there. Because when it comes to art, if the finished result looks good, it doesn't matter how you got there, as long as you're happy and other people are happy with the way it looks. Now I'll just take a moment to see if I like how the hair is laying, and then also how those flyaway hairs look on the head. And this one spot must be jinxed because I have to put some more fabric tack down to get that to tack down where I want it to be. When I want to give a character fine eyebrows, I'll adhere some thread to the eyebrow and then sort of noodle it into place with a sewing needle or a pin and try to get it the shape how I want it to. And then you can see here exactly how I'm applying it right there with the Fabri-Tac. And now our St. George has a just out of the salon look. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to join me in making the imaginary reality weekly, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Until next time, make believe!